What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the live stream for this fantastic Monday night NBA DFS slate. Going to be an exciting one. We just got some big news coming in. There is no James Harden tonight, so if you didn't get that news yet, James Harden is out. So that is the latest. And Cam Johnson. Oh, well, that's Cam Johnson. At first, I thought it was Cam Thomas. Okay, Cam Johnson, that's tomorrow, so that doesn't even matter. So, but James Harden is out for the Brooklyn Nets. That is a big piece of news. Going to be a big bump up for a Kyrie Irving, who now becomes one of the best plays on the slate. So we'll talk about that as we get into it, guys. If you enjoyed this content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. We are, I believe, 4 subscribers away from 1,500. 1,500 subscribers. So if we can get there today, that would be fantastic. Patrick, how we doing? To Prince, how we doing? Chris, how you doing? Welcome in, guys. Yeah, Kevin Durant becomes a much better play now in that game. That game is probably a lot more likely to stay close now, and those guys get a big bump up. So we'll talk about that as we go along here. But that is a big piece of news. I'm actually pretty excited about it, to be honest with you. I was already really high on Kyrie Irving, specifically on FanDuel in my projections. I have a feeling I was grading him a little bit higher than other people because I had him projected for a lot of minutes. Now you take James Harden out of the equation, and I am certainly high on him. The only thing that's a little bit disappointing, I guess you could say, is I probably was going to get him a little bit lower ownership prior to the news, but that's all right. He's going to be an even better play now, and we will talk about it as we go along here. So let's get into it. Let me refresh these 2 pages here to make sure we have the latest updates on the screen. And Dante DiVincenzo is available to play as well. We just got that news coming through. So Dante DiVincenzo is in for the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that a lot of the plays that I was initially going to go to might be taking a little bit of a back seat now with this news of being, no James Harden. So that just kind of changed the dynamic of this slate. I think it's going to be a fun one. It should be a lot of fast, up-paced games. And a lot of really good pay-up options. So we're going to talk about it. First game on the slate, we have Milwaukee taking on Charlotte. The first pay-up option is obviously going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is going to be a very fast, up-tempo game here, taking on a Charlotte Hornets team that has been one of the fastest-paced teams in the league and one of the worst teams defensively all season long. So going to be a fantastic spot to be targeting Giannis. 235.5 over under, 2.5 point spread in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks. Love the spot. He is my lock of the night. If I had to redo that right now, it would probably be Kyrie, but still love Mr. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think he really has some big upside here. Taking on the Charlotte team. He got in some foul trouble last time out. Team got behind. He came back in the game. He still put up 70 DraftKings points, so you can imagine the type of upside he'll have if he actually plays his full allotment of minutes without foul trouble. He still played 37 minutes last time out, so he did pretty good, though, as far as the minutes category. But point being, he might be able to even play, approximately the same, to be honest. It actually graded out as not too bad towards the end. So, but point being, his minutes should be way up. Going to be a fantastic play in an up-tempo game. There is no Jrue Holiday. He's going to continue to get that big bump up in usage because of it. Love him as a pay-up option in this game with there being no Jrue Holiday. Kelly Oubre was ruled out on the Charlotte side. So what does that mean? That makes things a little bit more interesting for a Miles Bridges, Cody Martin, Jalen McDaniels. And also probably a PJ Washington possibly getting some more minutes. McDaniels is someone that might be getting some decent amount of run here that people might not quite be thinking about on this slate. So I think he could be an interesting play at 3-6. More of a tournament play, don't get me wrong. And I think there's probably going to be some better values on this slate as we go along here because the San Antonio Spurs are very short-handed. Some other guys that we talked about. Dante DiVincenzo and Pat Connaughton will have their minutes monitored Monday per Coach Ham. So that's the latest update. Just keep your eye, just so you know on that one. And but yeah, on the Charlotte side, the top 2 plays for me are going to be LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges. They're priced up accordingly, but for good reason. These guys, best fantasy point producers. Both guys could easily put up 50 plus in this matchup in a fast up-tempo game. So it all starts with them. And then I do think Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, believe it or not, do get a bump up with there being no Kelly Oubre, just because I think their minutes and usage kind of become locked in. Gordon Hayward, a guy that, if Kelly Oubre comes off the bench and gets hot, could possibly get replaced by him down the stretch. Now that's not a threat. So I think Gordon Hayward specifically really kind of gets locked into his minutes and for that reason becomes a much better play on this slate tonight. Thoughts on Cody Martin with no Oubre? I do think that Cody Martin is definitely a valid play. As far as my priority of targeting him on the slate, though, I'm not too sure because We have some other spots that we're going to talk about with guys priced in the same price range with a bunch of guys being out and they're just locked in these minutes. So I think Cody Martin's a decent play, but I think there's some other spots that easily pass him on paper. Don't get me wrong though, Cody Martin could be a fantastic tournament play if everyone's going elsewhere and you go to him. Does make sense. Utah taking on Detroit. A game that I'm really not going to be that interested in, to be honest with you. We have a terrible Detroit team that's pretty much fully healthy. We have a really good Utah Jazz team that's really good on defense. That's probably going to shut Detroit down, and this game's probably going to turn into a blowout. So for me, this slate has really turned into like a 2 or 3 game slate for me, it almost seems, because I'm really high on a couple of these games, and I really don't like a couple of them, and this is one of them. Hamidou Diallo, Saddiq Bey, I don't feel the need to go to any of these guys, to be honest with you. If I had to pick one on DraftKings to go to on my sheet, that's my favorite play in this game. Let's see. I'd probably be going with a Mike Conley at 5'9". He grades out as a pretty decent play. He's priced very reasonably, but is he going to be out there for the whole allotment of minutes is the question for me. And I just really don't think it's all that necessary to be going to a Mike Conley on this slate at 5'9" when we have so many other better options in faster up-paced games. So I got to be honest, guys. I feel like this breakdown is going to be a little bit boring, but a couple of these games I'm just really not interested in, and this is one of them. Third game, Indiana taking on Boston. Once again, not that interested in this game. Both teams are pretty much fully healthy. The only news that we have is Malcolm Brogdon being listed as possibly out. If he's out, that could be a bump up for a Dwayne Washington, a Kiefer Sykes. They could both be valid plays once again, but do I really want to be going to these guys with all the other options on this slate, taking on a Boston team in only a 212.5 over-under with an 8-point spread in favor of Boston? Am I getting excited about it? Nope, not really. To be honest, not really at all. So for that reason, I mean, just got to be honest with you, I don't really think it makes too much sense to be getting exposure here. Everyone Hates Chris says, I had 4,100 and I thought he would be the best option there. At 4,100, no, I think there's some other better options we'll talk about as we go along here. JT says, thoughts on Drummond spelling Embiid if it becomes a blowout? FanDuel. Yeah, Andre Drummond certainly grades out as a pretty decent play for me on FanDuel as is. He's a very good fantasy point producer. If he gets a more extended run because it turns into a blowout, it could be valid. But there are some really, really good plays at the center position that I think you're passing up on if you go that route. So we'll talk about FanDuel when I'm done with DraftKings here. But can't say that would be my favorite option. It's certainly valid. It's just very, very risky. Probably wouldn't be going to that. But yeah, as far as this game, guys, Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Robert Williams, Miles Turner, all these guys, I mean, everyone's healthy, essentially. If there is indeed no Malcolm Brogdon, I do think Domantas Sabonis gets a decent bump up here. He's been very, very good, putting up 64 and 58 DraftKings points. So he'd be the one guy that I'm willing to go to in this game, borrowing some injury news here. But other than that, really just kind of a pass for me in this one. Not really getting too excited. San Antonio Spurs taking on the New York Knicks. This game we can certainly talk about some plays finally. With the San Antonio Spurs dealing with so many injuries, with there being no Devin Vassell, Doug McDermott, Trey Jones, Landale's even listed as questionable now. There's no Thad Young. There is no, that's everyone I think, but point being, they are very short-handed. So what are we going to see? We are going to see a lot of Lonnie Walker, Bryn Forbes, Kate Spates-Diop, and all of these guys are very good fantasy point producers. Going over to my sheets here, pulling up the San Antonio Spurs and looking at how these guys have produced on a permanent basis on the season. We can see DeJounte Murray putting up 1.38 DK points per minute. There's no Derek White in this game. Jakob Poeltl, 1.1 DK points per minute. Very, very good. Lonnie Walker, 0.91 DK points per minute. Bryn Forbes, 0.80. Bates Diop, 0.81. Josh Primo, 0.83. So all of these guys getting a lot of elevated minutes. Their price tags have not been adjusted accordingly. They're going to be playing a ton of minutes. And for that reason, these guys are going to be tremendous pieces of value. So you talked about guys that are 4,100 and under. Lonnie Walker is going to be my favorite value play on the slate around that range at 42. I know he's 100 more, but I would encourage you to get that 100 if you possibly can, because Lonnie Walker is a fantastic play at a 4,200 price tag. Really going to like him. Certainly would be willing to go to Bryn Forbes, Bates Diop, and Primo as well. If I had to rank these guys, it would go Lonnie Walker first, Primo second, Bates Diop third, and Bryn Forbes fourth probably. I really like all of them, though, to be honest. I certainly would be willing to get exposure to all of them depending upon your roster construction. I just think that Bryn Forbes has the least solidified minutes, so that's why I kind of picked him last. But regardless, his 4K price tag and the minutes he's going to be getting, still plenty enough to give him there at his price tag. Lando's the one other piece of news. If he's ruled out, we could be taking a look to a Drew Eubanks as a backup center for Jakob Poeltl. So he might be interesting at a minimum salary. So that would be one thing to certainly keep your eyes on. Drew Eubanks, pretty good fantasy point producer at his price tag, at a 3.3 price tag. He's putting up 1.05 DK points per minute on the season. He would become another valid value play. Patrick says, let's get the likes up. Yes, sir. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. If you hit the like button, I would greatly appreciate it, guys. KPJ, let's get it. Kyrie or Simmons. I really like both those guys. I can pretty much promise you I will be playing both of them. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with Kyrie now. But, I mean, I love both those plays. I can pretty much promise you I'm going to have both of them. Diop, I was going to try to get off the chalk. Yeah, if you want to pivot off the chalk, I do think there are some more valid options now that we just got this confirmation on the James Harden news for the Brooklyn Nets, which we'll talk about later on. We also have some more options in this Philly-Houston game. On the Knicks side of this game, really not all that interested. We're still waiting on the Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier news. If those guys are both ruled out, I do think that Emmanuel Quickley would become a really interesting play in this spot at only a 4.9 price tag. Alec Burks will get a big bump up in usage as well. But once again, not exactly the best fantasy point environment. Really slow-paced game. So there might be some other spots that we can pivot to as we go along the slate that we will discuss. But that's kind of the approach there. That's what I'd be looking to depending upon the injury news. And let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Houston taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. There is no Eric Gordon in this one, so I do think that's going to make a few of these Houston guys become a little bit more interesting. Specifically, David Nwaba at 3.3, Kenyon Martin Jr. at 4K, Josh Christopher at 3.5. They all become pretty interesting value plays for me on this slate tonight. And I'm guessing they're not going to be nearly as owned as the San Antonio Spurs guys. So if you want to pivot, I think this is one of the spots that you can do it at. KJ Martin, 4K, played 27 minutes last time out. All these guys, once again, pretty good fantasy point producers. Pulling up the Houston Rockets roster here. Let's see. So Eric Gordon's out. Kenyon Martin Jr. putting up 0.88 DK points per minute. Armani Brooks continues to be out as well, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, Armani Brooks is out as well, so that's just even more usage to go around and more minutes. So for a guy like a Josh Christopher, a David Nwaba that we just discussed, Josh Christopher putting up 0.84 DK points per minute, David Nwaba putting up 0.97. So I do think these guys become much more intriguing plays with there being no Eric Gordon. We know that Sagan continues to be out as well. Jalen Green, Jayshawn Tate. Kevin Porter and Christian Wood are obviously going to be your top two options. They're the ones that really dominate the usage. Putting up 0.97 DK points per minute is Kevin Porter. 1.2 is Christian Wood. So if this game's going to stay close, there's a high likelihood it's because one or both of these guys has a huge game here. So if you're getting a lot of exposure to some pay-up options on the Philly side, I do think it makes a lot of sense to be getting some exposure on the opposite side of this game to Christian Wood, to Kevin Porter Jr. I would highly encourage you to be doing so, especially if you're paying up for like a Joel Embiid. It just makes sense to do so because the game really needs to stay close if Embiid's going to go off and get his full capacity of minutes. And if it does, like I said, those are the guys that are really going to be dominating the usage and making sure that it does. Garrison Matthews at 3.9, I think it becomes a pretty interesting option as well. He's a guy that I kind of glanced over, but on DraftKings specifically, really good shooter. From the three-point land, he played 31 minutes last time out. He's only 3.9, so I do think that he's someone you can be looking to. And on the Philadelphia side, with the Seth Curry news still being listed as questionable, that's a big piece of news. If he is out, we're going to be taking an even larger look to a Furkan Korkmaz, who I already like quite a bit. I like Seth Curry a lot if he's ruled in because he's been playing the point guard position with no Tyrese Maxey and no Shake Milton. And Furkan Korkmaz I like as well. But if there's no Seth Curry, Furkan Korkmaz would get that much more of a bump here. And he would be someone that I would really be prioritizing if indeed Seth Curry is ruled out. And then obviously Tobias Harris would become a much better play as well. So that Seth Curry news is really big. We really need to get that piece of news because the Houston Rockets are terrible defensively. This is one of the best teams you can target in the league. They grade out as second to last in the league in defense, 29th overall in points per possession rank, 28th in points per play in the half court, 24th in offensive rebounding percentage allowed, and 23rd in putbacks. So, goes without saying, this is an absolute smash spot for Joel Embiid. Love the spot. It's just a matter of roster construction with all the value. I think we could certainly be getting in a Joel Embiid, a Kevin Durant, a Giannis Antetokounmpo, multiple of those guys in our lineups, and I would highly encourage you to do so, alongside with Kyrie Irving, who becomes a fantastic play now that we got confirmation there's no James Harden. So certainly going to have a lot of value for pay-up options. Cleveland taking on Sacramento. Once again, with this news coming out, with these faster up-paced games and other games, I don't even think I'm going to touch this game. Are there some decent options? Sure. Maybe an Evan Mobley, maybe a Jared Allen, maybe a Darius Garland. But I got to be honest, I just don't see it. I don't see wanting to get exposure to this game. This game comes in with a 219.5 over-under. We have the Houston Rockets with a 226, the Blazers with a 227, the Hornets with a 235, and then all the San Antonio Spurs value. There's a couple of these games I'm just going to cross off and not really want to have a lot of exposure to, and I think this is going to be one of them. So if you want to go here, have fun. I'm just giving you my honest take. I don't really think it's worth getting a lot of exposure to in this game. If I had to pick one guy to be getting exposure to based upon my projections right now, and Kemba Walker is out. Nerlens Noel is out. That just came through. So that's obviously relevant pieces of news. No Kemba, no Nerlens Noel, and Evan Fournier is a game-time decision. So that is the latest. We're still waiting on the Evan Fournier news. With there being no Kemba, we really need that Fournier news to determine who we're going to be going to. If he's ruled out, we'd be taking a much harder look to an RJ Barrett than Alec Burks and an Emmanuel Quickley. I still think I'm not really too interested in any of those guys outside of Quickley for the most part. Would become much better plays, though. All right, guys, we got 12 people in here, only 2 likes. If you're enjoying the stream, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. We are about 4 subscribers away from the 1,500 mark. So if you're enjoying this content, hit that subscribe button. Would mean a lot to me. Would be great to get to that today. And if you have any questions, please do let me know in the chat, and I will gladly answer them. Last game on the slate. This one just became really exciting. We just got news. There is no James Harden in this game. What does that mean? That means Kyrie Irving, Patty Mills both get a big bump up here. Patty Mills' price tag has really come down to 4.9, so he becomes a really intriguing play here at this 4.9 price tag. Obviously, it was not expected that there wasn't going to be James Harden, so the price tag has not been adjusted accordingly. He becomes pretty interesting to me. But obviously, the top 2 options are going to be Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant now. But Kyrie, just going to absolutely love Kyrie now with no James Harden, especially on FanDuel where he's even cheaper, which I think that's going to be the site I'm playing on tonight. Kyrie Irving grades out as a phenomenal play. I was already really high on him as is. I think I was projecting him a lot higher than some other people were in the industry. We saw him play 32 minutes last time out. I really think he's going to play in the upper 30s minutes in this one if the game stays close. And for that reason, especially now that there's no James Harden, I really like Kyrie Irving tonight. The same can be said for Kevin Durant. The usage would be really high. And the Portland Trailblazers are the worst team in the league defensively. Looking at my defensive half-court and putbacks tool, my premium content, we can see they are 30th overall in points per possession rank, 30th in points per play rank in the half-court setting. Really not good at defending. So Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving just got a big bump up. Anthony Simmons, running it back with him, really going to like him a lot. He's taken a big step up with there being no Damian Lillard and no CJ McCollum. Really going to like him. Going to have some exposure to Nazir Little, Robert Covington. But the top 2 options on the Portland side in this game by far are going to be Yusuf Nurkic and Anthony Simmons. Both these guys, fantastic plays now, especially with the game expected to stay closer with there being no James Harden. I'm going to be getting a lot of exposure to Yusuf Nurkic and Anthony Simmons. So this last game really grading out as a phenomenal play. There's no Larry Nance Jr. still. There's no Norman Powell. So Nazir Little, Robert Covington also going to be great plays. And then some guys you could be looking to on the Nets side. Patty Mills, it starts with him. But I also do think we could see some more minutes for and usage for a Bruce Brown, a Kessler Edwards, a Cam Thomas, a Duke Jr. In this spot with there being no James Harden. So if you want to kind of cycle through these guys, Ben McLemore is also getting a big run on the Portland side at only a 3.3 price tag. He becomes a very intriguing value play for me as well. Starting now, with there being no Norman Powell, he becomes a great value play at only 3.3. So this last game, it's going to be a fast up-tempo game. Expected to stay even closer now with there being no Kevin Durant. It's just going to make it that much easier for me to want to load up and really get a lot of exposure to this game. I already had a lot of interest as is. That spread has changed from 10 to 8.5. I just refreshed here. So, yeah, that is a phenomenal play. The Hornets, the Blazers, the Rockets games, those are the ones I'm really going to want to be getting a lot of exposure to here. And they're really standing out to me. So I just got to be honest with you. Those are the ones I really want to be looking to. The San Antonio Spurs value we were talking about. And, yeah, guys, so if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. If you did not know and you're new to the program, the sponsor of this video is Parlay Play. If you haven't signed up for Parlay Play, go ahead and check them out. We've been doing the KJK DFS Parlay Play Bankroll Challenge. We have been able to get our bankroll way up. I'm going to have to update this graphic. I've been going kind of crazy with my 4 picks to 10x your money, and we haven't been hitting a lot of them. We've been barely missing with guys not getting there, so our bankroll's fallen to, I believe, 185 now. So our record's dipping a little bit. Some feedback from you guys would be great. I don't know if you guys want me to kind of take a little bit more of a get it right approach. I mean, our bankroll had grown to over 500, so I was getting really risky with these, having a little bit of fun, trying to win you guys some big money. But we started out with $10, risk-free $10 you can get when you sign up today using that promo code KJK003. You can also just go ahead and click on that link in my description. I'm going to put it in the chat right now to activate that promo code. When you do, you will get a risk-free $10. So when you sign up over there today, you will also get a instant match deposit up to $50. And if you have any input for me on the Parlay Play Bankroll Challenge, if you want me to kind of limit it down to maybe some more serious, just guaranteed picks with only 2 or 3 picks, that's fine. I've been having a little bit of fun with it, but it has come as a little bit of a risky option for some of you, so I'm not sure that all of you are up for that. So just let me know in the comments. And let's talk about some FanDuel tonight as well. We talked about DraftKings. Let's talk about some FanDuel. If you have any questions, please do let me know. FanDuel review happening at Tap My Life. You're just in time, my man. We're going to talk about it right now. So, I still got to update my projections, but I can guarantee you Kyrie Irving's going to be one of my favorite options, if not my favorite option over here on FanDuel now, with there being no James Harden. I was already very, very high on him. Now there's no James Harden. He is only 7-8 over here on FanDuel. He's going to be an absolute smash play, so I'll start by mentioning that. Love Kyrie Irving over here on FanDuel, a guy that I would highly encourage you to be getting exposure to. Easily could go out there and drop 50 plus, and his price tag is not adjusted accordingly. So I love Kyrie Irving now with that news. Kevin Durant becomes a much more valid pay-up option at 11K. You might have to pick between him and Giannis tonight, though. Could you play both of them? I do think it's possible with all the San Antonio Spurs value that we talked about. So both those guys, really, really good pay-up options on this slate tonight. At the center position, Joel Embiid, fantastic pay-up option. Like we talked about, that Houston Rockets team really struggling defensively. So he's one of the centers I would definitely be getting exposure to. If I'm going down from Joel Embiid, I do think I really, really like Yusuf Nurkic tonight at 7-4 in that fast up-tempo game. With there being no CJ McCollum, no Damian Lillard, Yusuf Nurkic, really a great play. Christian Wood running it back on that Philadelphia game. Like I said, if the game's going to stay close, it's going to be Christian Wood. It's going to be Kevin Porter Jr. that are really doing the damage. So those two guys really stand out to me if you're wanting to run it back in that game. Bobby Portis at 6K is way too cheap over here on FanDuel. He's going to be an absolute smash play taking on this Charlotte Hornets team in a fast up-tempo game. There continues to be no Brook Lopez. DeMarcus Cousins was waived, so his minutes are a lot more solidified now. There's no Drew Holiday. His usage is going to be up, starting down low, getting a lot of rebounds. Love Bobby Portis, especially on FanDuel. That price tag is too cheap, so I really like him. Hassan Whiteside at 5-3, going to continue. I think that Hassan Whiteside is the #1 tournament play on this slate. He has had 2 games restarted. Everyone's been all in on him. He's been one of the best value plays, and he hasn't done anything. So what does that mean? People really aren't going to want to play him. And to answer your question, Mike, as far as best Jazz value on FanDuel, it would be Hassan Whiteside. 5-3. The problem is there's a big opportunity cost at the center position tonight. So you're taking a big risk if you're going with Hassan Whiteside. But I truly think he is the #1 tournament play on this slate tonight. Typically speaking, when a guy, multiple nights in a row is one of the top values and he's let people down, his ownership is probably going to be way low tonight compared to what it would be typically. And you could certainly take advantage of it. He still grades out as a great play, phenomenal fantasy point per minute producer. Looking at my sheets here and looking at how Hassan Whiteside does on a permanent basis, let's go ahead and pull up Utah. I know that it's very good. Hassan Whiteside putting up 1.25 DK points. 1.25 FanDuel points per minute. That is very, very, very good. So his ownership might be a lot lower than it should be. If you want to go to him, I certainly do think that it makes a lot of sense at that center position. And those are really the guys I'd be looking to at the center position. I don't think it's really worth getting cute with anyone else. They're just really, really good plays. Domantas Sabonis is the other guy, obviously. He has power forward and center eligibility, though. So if you want to go to Domantas Sabonis, certainly I think he's viable at 10-3. Power forward position, we already kind of talked about it. We talked about Tobias Harris at 7-8 on FanDuel. I think is a really good play, especially if there's no Seth Curry. He'd get an even bigger bump up in usage, so keep your eyes on that Seth Curry news. Christian Wood, Bobby Portis, PJ Washington with this Charlotte team with no Kelly Oubre could possibly get some more run tonight, so he's a little bit of a risky play, but one that can certainly pay off for you in your tournament plays. If he goes out there and plays mid-30s all of a sudden because there's no Kelly Oubre, that would be huge at 5'7". Nicholas Claxton at 5'5", I also think grades out as a phenomenal play. He is power forward eligible. You're essentially getting a starting center at the power forward position, which I always love doing on a site like FanDuel. You get the 3 points for the blocks and steals. Nicholas Claxton usually is good for a few of those every game. So I like him a lot at that 5'5" price tag in a fast, up-paced game against Portland. Jordan Nwora at 5'4" is an interesting option for the Milwaukee Bucks, still dealing with injuries. If he continues to start, which I would expect him to, played 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. He typically produces at a very high rate. He's been a bit of a letdown these last couple times out, but could certainly be a great tournament option as well. And, yeah, that'd be some of those guys. The Houston value looks a lot better now. KJ Martin, with there being no Eric Gordon. Do I think you might be getting a little bit too cute going here? Possibly, but, I mean, he's only 4'4". Last time out, 26 minutes, 26 FanDuel points. If he's able to get up to right around 30 minutes or, 30 FanDuel points, you'd be very happy with that at that price tag. So I certainly think that he's a valid play now, with there being no Eric Gordon. Small forward, Miles Bridges, Chris Middleton, and Tobias Harris in that range. These three guys certainly make sense in this range. Chris Middleton, big bump up with there being no Jrue Holiday. I don't think he's quite as good of a play just because Giannis is still on. I mean, still kind of impact him a little bit. But Miles Bridges, the second option to LaMelo Ball in the Charlotte Hornets offense. I really like him. Gordon Hayward, with there being no Kelly Oubre, I do think his minutes become a lot more solidified. He is a good fantasy point producer, so if you want to go to Gordon Hayward in that fast up-tempo game, makes sense. Jayshawn Tate, if you're running it back in the Houston side at 5'9" on FanDuel, certainly valid. I would probably go with Kevin Porter over Jayshawn Tate. I just think he has more usage. But on a site like FanDuel, you get 3 points for blocks and steals. I mean, Jayshawn Tate becomes a much more valid play. So I do like both those guys if you're needing to run it back with some guys that are hoping to keep that game close. Robert Covington in that fast up-tempo game with Portland, with there being no Larry Nance and no Norman Powell, going to be viable. Quark Mats we talked about, especially if there's no Seth Curry. Nazir Little, once again, solidified minutes in that Portland Trailblazers rotation here. So there's a lot of really good plays here, guys. Lonnie Walker at 4'4", one of the best, if not the best value play on this slate tonight with the San Antonio Spurs dealing with so many injuries. This guy's shown time and time again the amount of upside that he has. Certainly going to like him a lot. DeJounte Murray is certainly a valid pay-up option in San Antonio dealing with all those injuries. The problem is now we have some guys that are cheaper that are getting a big bump up in usage in a much faster game environment, so I don't think I'm going to quite get there. Like Kyrie Irving. Love Kyrie Irving now. Terry Rozier, Anthony Simmons. Love those guys. Cade Cunningham's really, really cheap over here on FanDuel, so if there was ever a site where I was going to get the most exposure to him, it would be on FanDuel. He's a lot more expensive over there on DraftKings. FanDuel has not done a good enough job of pricing him up, so I do think that Cade Cunningham is certainly a good play over here on FanDuel. And then when we're looking at the point guard position, it's LaMelo Ball for me. It's Kyrie Irving. It's Terry Rozier. It's Anthony Simmons. Tyrese Halliburton you could be taking a look to. Seth Curry I really do like if he's in. We just need that confirmation. He's been playing the point guard position with there being no Tyrese Maxey and no Shake Milton, and his upside as far as assists has really gone up. So I would really like Seth Curry if he's in. We just need that confirmation. And if there is indeed no Evan Fournier, Alec Burks is going to become a much more interesting option. Also, Patty Mills at 5K now becomes a much more interesting option with there being no James Harden. He is very scoring reliant, so just keep that in mind. But, I mean, at 5K, he just got a big bump up, and his price tag is not accurate for the role that he's now going to be taking on. So that is... yeah, I think I did a pretty good job of summing up some of the top FanDuel options there. If you have any questions in the chat, please do let me know, guys. And if you're enjoying this content, hit that like button. We have 6 likes. Our goal is to get to 20 likes on all these live streams and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we're only a couple away from 1,500 subscribers, so that would be awesome. And if you do have any questions, please do ask me in the chat. I will gladly answer them, help you out tonight before I head out. I think we went over that slate kind of quick, but I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. I'm really going to be wanting to get a lot of exposure to these fast up-paced games. The Philadelphia-Houston game, the Brooklyn Trailblazers game, the Milwaukee Hornets game. And those are my 3 favorites by far. The San Antonio Spurs value obviously going to be great. I don't think the Jazz-Pistons game is one that I have a lot of interest in for the most part. The Celtics-Pacers game is one that I really don't have a lot of interest in for the most part. The Cleveland Cavaliers-Sacramento Kings game, not really all that interested. Alex Len's been starting as of late, so Alex Len's really cheap still. If you want to go to Alex Len, he's been kind of killing it. on a permanent basis, and he's still pretty cheap, so he'd be the one guy I'd be willing to get some exposure to. 23 minutes, 30 DraftKings points. 28 minutes, 39 DraftKings points. On FanDuel, he's still pretty cheap, so if you want to go to an Alex Len, I don't hate it. But other than that, not getting too excited. All right, guys, if you did not know, I do offer a premium content package over here on Patreon. You get premium NBA projections, NBA data sheet, player stats, team stats, play contact stats. I actually just released a video on my channel called How to Win at NBA DFS using KJK DFS premium content tools if you want to check it out to kind of get a sneak peek behind the paywall and see what it has to offer. But I'm going to put the link in the chat right now. If you want to sign up, head on over and check out the premium content tools. I will be obviously providing those all season long. I'll even give you a sneak peek of a sheet right now. Like I said, you can go and watch that video. They don't have the latest stats. This one actually does. So this is only one of the sheets, but it'll help you out. It'll give you a little bit of a free sneak peek behind the paywall here of the teams that are worst at defending shots. And guess what? 3 of the bottom teams in the league at allowing the most scoring are on this slate. Portland, Houston, and Charlotte. All 3 of those teams have been terrible defensively. They're teams that we really would like to target on this slate tonight. Every single day I post these sheets and they are updated, so this could change throughout the season, but those 3 teams, all on this slate, all teams we love to target, and all teams that I have been telling you guys and giving you advice to play against, because if you didn't see on the screen, they are terrible defensively. So certainly be taking advantage of that tonight, playing some guys against those guys. I will love targeting them, and would highly encourage you guys to do the same because they've been really struggling defensively, so I'm going to go ahead and keep taking advantage of it. And yeah. All right, guys, doesn't really look like we have too many questions. I mean, I want to hang out a little bit longer and not quite bounce out of here so early, but if you guys don't have any questions, I think we did a pretty good job. I mean, we can hang out and wait for some more injury news, but it's probably not going to come in until like a few minutes before a lock. I got to head out and update my projections, my core plays, and answer any questions from my premium members in the Discord chat. But I would love to hang out here for another, 10, 15 minutes answering questions if you have any. If you don't, that's fine too. I'll wish you the best of luck and we'll head out. But we can certainly review anything and everything you want to on the slate, and I will give you the best piece of advice I can give you. I'll be updating my projections here to reflect this latest news. But if there's one piece of advice I would give you, it's that Kyrie Irving is going to absolutely smash now. So, love me some Kyrie Irving tonight now. Fantastic play. J. Trey says, Clarkson, Schroeder, Green, Korkmaz, quickly. Pick 2. If we do get confirmation that Seth Curry and Evan Fournier are out, which is kind of just speculation on this part, but I think regardless, I would go with Korkmaz and quickly. We got confirmation there's no Kemba Walker, so that's one thing. And then if there's no Evan Fournier, quickly becomes an even better play. Korkmaz, same thing. He's already a good play, but if there's no Seth Curry, it becomes an even better play. So I am going to tell you to go with Korkmaz and quickly. Sky says, Hornets +3, Cavs -6, Nets -9, Pacers over 102 points. Thoughts or any changes? I don't typically give sports waging advice on this channel. I mean, I can help you out the best I can. Sure, we typically cover DFS, but you said you're going with Hornets +3. Sure, that's good value considering the line is 2.5 in favor of Milwaukee. You're getting a half-point spread there, so that's great. Cavs -6. Looking at the line for the Cavs, that's -6. I don't hate that. They're fully healthy. The Sacramento Kings are really bad defensively, so I think that's a valid play. Pacers -9. That spread is coming in. I'm hoping you mean Pacers +9. If you're saying Boston's favored by 8 currently, so if you're taking Pacers -9, that would be an absolute no for me. And Pacers over 102 points. I don't really feel too strongly about that one. The Boston Celtics have a pretty good defense. It's kind of a slow-paced game. I don't think I would be taking that, to be honest with you. Could hit, but not feeling too great about it. Mike Larry says, Eric Pascal. Yeah, I don't think that Pascal's necessary whatsoever on the slate tonight, to be honest with you. I don't think you have to be going to that Utah Jazz. We talked about a lot of other really good plays on this slate. Eric Pascal's $3K, so minimum salary, so that's great and all. Malcolm Brogdon was just ruled out. So we got confirmation that Malcolm Brogdon is indeed out tonight. That's going to give a big bump up to Domantas Sabonis on this slate. And Chris Duarte was just ruled out as well. All right, so that's interesting. So there's no Chris Duarte and no Malcolm Brogdon, which is going to mean Lance Stevenson, Kiefer Sykes, and Dwayne Washington become much better options, and you're also going to see Domantas Sabonis get a big bump up in usage, so that's interesting. I also think that it means there's a far more likelihood that Boston blows out Indiana, so yeah, that is interesting. Josh Primo and Jock Landale are game time decisions. That was what was said earlier on the slate, but also they said that Josh Primo was listed as probable. So I'm tending to think that he's in, and that would be my approach here. But Landale is the one I'm a little less confident in. Torrey Craig is available today. So Torrey Craig's coming back. There's no Malcolm Brogdon, and there's no Chris Duarte. That is the latest and greatest for news. So that is the new one. All right, guys, let me know if you have any more questions in the chat. I will gladly answer them. And if you're enjoying this stream, please take a second to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Would be greatly appreciated. We are about 4 subscribers away from 1,500 subscribers. Really do appreciate all the support. And if you have any more questions, please do ask them. I would love to help you guys out before I head out. I still have to update all my premium content. Projections, core plays, and answer all my premium content members' questions, but I want to make sure that I'm answering everyone's questions on the live stream before I head out. If you have a question, please do ask. If you'd like access to the Discord package, it's only $1. You can ask me questions in there all the way up until lock, after lock, all that stuff. For the month of January to celebrate the new year, I am offering that package for only $1. It is typically $10 a month. For the new year, it is only $1, so if you want to go ahead and take advantage of that, check out the link down below in the description. I just put it in the chat as well. Giving back to you guys during the holiday season. It was only $1 during December. I'm going to keep it at only $1 for the month of January. So check that out. But you get the Discord package included in the KJK DFS NBA package and a whole lot more. So I would encourage you to get that one if you're playing NBA DFS every single night. Really going to help you out to become a much more better profitable player, I would say. And if you're interested in what that has to offer, I did just post a video called How to Win an NBA DFS using premium content tools from KJK DFS. You can get a little bit of a sneak peek behind the paywall, see what those tools have to offer before you purchase it if you're a little bit skeptical. But I can promise you that $19.99 investment is going to pay off for you very, very quickly. You're going to get your return on investment very quickly. So I would encourage you to get it if you're playing every night. If you're not playing every night, if you're not playing a lot of volume and you're just wanting to have fun, that is understandable. But check that out. Jay Trez says, Sykes or Walker? I would definitely go with Lonnie Walker over Sykes. Sykes just became a much more valid play, though. Sykes is 4'6". Lonnie Walker is 4'2". I mean, I have to go with Lonnie Walker. He's just a phenomenal fantasy point producer. But that's a very good question. And I still have to update my projections. So when I do, there's a possibility I might have a different stance on that. But for the time being, I want to go with Lonnie Walker. But yeah, Sykes just got a big bump up. So that will be interesting. I just think Lonnie Walker has more solidified minutes. He's locked in. The Pacers, although that Duarte and Malcolm Brogdon are out, they do have some guys that are returning. So Lance Stevenson, Brissett, Jeremy Lamb's back now. Torrey Craig's back now. So they're not quite as shorthanded as they were once upon a time. The Spurs are still really shorthanded here. So Jack says, what are your favorite value plays on FanDuel? I like Lonnie Walker. Who else do you like? Yeah, Lonnie Walker's a fantastic value play on FanDuel. Some other guys that I would be going to for values on FanDuel. Let me check it out here and give you some answers. So some of my top values. Lonnie Walker is certainly one of them. Joshua Primo, right along with him. Very, very cheap over here on FanDuel at 3.8. If he's in, he's a game time decision. He was listed as probable, though, so I'd expect him to be a full go. He's another guy that grades out as a great option for me. Bates Diop is only 3.9 over here on FanDuel for the San Antonio Spurs. He grades out as a great value play again. Shocker. All these San Antonio Spurs guys are really, really cheap. Going to offer you a bunch of value tonight. All playing 30 minutes plus. They're just too cheap, so I love those guys as values. Kyrie Irving at 7.8. I mean, I know he's not exactly really cheap, but he's one of my best value plays on the slate now. There's no James Harden. And I already liked Kyrie Irving a lot as is at 7.8. I was very high on him compared to everyone else, I think, on FanDuel specifically. Now there's no James Harden. This is just way too cheap for Kyrie Irving. So I know he's not exactly a typical cheap, quote-unquote, value, but he's a heck of a value for me on this slate tonight on FanDuel. I absolutely love Kyrie Irving. He's just phenomenal play now. So he's another guy that I think really grades up. But yeah, those San Antonio Spurs guys are really good pieces of value. The other guy that you could argue is Hassan Whiteside at the center position. He's really let everyone down. I've said it multiple times, but I'm going to say it again. I think Hassan Whiteside is the best tournament play on this slate tonight. He has been the most popular piece of value on these last two slates, and he has really let everyone down. When that happens, people are scared to go back to him. People may be ticked off that he let them down. They're scared to play him. And for that reason, his ownership should be a lot lower than it typically should be. He's a great fantasy point producer. He's putting up 1.25 FanDuel points per minute on the season. We talked about that earlier in the stream. That is really, really good stuff. So it's just a matter of time before he has a big game. And if everyone else is going to be scared and jump off him and you play him, I think that that is a fantastic idea. Joshua says, thoughts on Cody Martin with Oubre out? I certainly think that he's a decent low-owned tournament option, but I do think you're getting a little bit cute. I think there's some other better guys that are priced in the same price range that are locked into a lot more minutes. So I think he's valid. Do I think he most likely is the best value play in that price range on both websites? No. But he's contrarian if you want to go there. In tournaments, I don't mind it. If you're playing cash games, I would highly advise against it. Go with some of those other guys that we talked about, like a Lonnie Walker, a Bates Diop, a Primo, etc. Jack says, my core plays are Kyrie, Nurkic, Bobby Portis, Antetokounmpo, Lonnie Walker, and I'm thinking about putting Korkmaz in. What do you think? I think that is fantastic. Every single guy that you just named, I think, is a great play. So, yeah, I approve of that core. And, yeah, guys, it's about 6:15 p.m. here, guys. Looks like we have 24 people in here. Only 10 likes. If you're enjoying the stream, hit that like button. We're trying to get up to over 20 likes on all these streams. And if you have any questions, please do ask them in the chat so that I can answer all of your questions before I head out. Really want to make sure that I'm answering all your questions, helping you guys out to the best of my ability. So don't be shy. Ask any questions you want. And if you don't have any questions and you think you're all set to go for the slate, that's great. I can head out. But just want to make sure that I answer everyone's questions before I hop off. See if we have any more updates. I don't really think that we have any more updates right now. Nurkic or Portis? That is a very tough question, my friend Joshua. Are you playing on DraftKings or FanDuel? On FanDuel, I mean, Portis is just really, really cheap. So I really like both those guys. If you're playing on DraftKings, it might be a little bit of a different story. Looking at their price tags over here, Bobby Portis is 6'8", and Yusuf Nurkic is 7K, so they're a lot closer. On DraftKings, I would have to go with Nurkic for upside at his price tag. On FanDuel, I'd have to go with Bobby Portis. Yeah, so on DK, I'd go with Yusuf Nurkic if I had to pick one. I really like both of them, though. I mean, if you get both of them in your lineup, I would highly approve of that. Jack says, thoughts on Josh Christopher? Yeah, I think Josh Christopher becomes a much more valid tournament play now that there is no Eric Gordon. So if you want to go to Josh Christopher, I do not hate it. At 3.5 on DraftKings, he's a pretty reasonable play here. Put up 32 DraftKings points last time out. Has been producing at a very high rate on the season for his price tag. So yeah, I think Josh Christopher is certainly a valid play. With there being no Eric Gordon, with there being no Armani Brooks as well, his minutes should be pretty locked in. So if you want to go to Josh Christopher, I would certainly give you the green light to do so. All right, guys, 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to hang around one more minute. If you have any questions, please do ask me in the chat before I head out. I really want to answer all your questions before I head out. If you're enjoying the content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. And if you're interested in some premium content, you can head on over to patreon.com/KJK_DFS. That's where I'm going to be headed after this. If you want to join the KJK DFS community, you'll get access to my premium NBA projections, my core plays, my Discord chat, all that stuff that we will be talking about up right until lock. After lock, you can ask me questions about late swap, all of that fun stuff. Jack says, you like LaMelo on FanDuel? Absolutely. LaMelo is priced very reasonably on FanDuel. He's only 8.4. His upside is way better than that. We saw LaMelo Ball go out there and almost drop a triple-double last game out in some serious foul trouble. He had 5 fouls very early in this game, was dealing with foul trouble the whole game. And he still wound up with 19 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and 1 steal. And that was over 26 minutes. So if he doesn't get in foul trouble this time and he plays, you know, in the mid-30s to upper 30s minutes, the guy literally has 70 fantasy point upside. So I do like it. Mike says, I'm going to buy a subscription. Good content. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that, man. I'm looking forward to having you join the team. And if you need any help or anything, or if you have any questions, I'll reach out to you on Patreon when you sign up, and I'll thank you for signing up, let you know, welcome you to the team kind of thing. And if you have any questions or if there's any way I can help you, please reach out and ask me, and you message me on Patreon, and I'll help you out, man. So looking forward to you joining the team. And thank you for supporting my content. I appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm going to bounce out of here. I'm going to go update my premium NBA projections, all that fun stuff that I've been talking about. If you want to join the team alongside Mike, please feel free to hit that link down below in the description. If you enjoyed this stream, hit that like button before you head out. I wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one, guys. Good luck tonight.